Welcome to Tim's Tank. We're overdue for an update. Matter of fact, it's been about a month since I did an update on the tank, so let's take a look and see what's going on, the latest things. First of all, just real quick, it's actually the anniversary of this tank too. It's been almost exactly a year since I first put this tank up. I had to move it during that period of time to, after it had been up for about 4 or 5 months, to a new location, which is our new home now, but it's actually, but we'll still say that it's been up for about a year. So, the latest thing I wanted to tell you about is I stopped using filter socks. I finally just got tired of messing with filter socks, and I went to using filter floss or filter pad that I buy in like a 12-foot roll from Amazon, and it's about $15 for a 12-foot roll. And that roll will last about a month. I cut in sections as I'll show you in a minute. As a matter of fact, we'll take a look at that now, down in the sump and how that. So let's go down to my sump under the tank here, take a look, and I'll show you what I'm talking about by switching out. That's right there's my return, and of course it overflows into this area, and that's where either you have filter socks. There's an acrylic plate that you can put in and take out. It's interchangeable. As a matter of fact, it looks like that. And so you can either have that in and put your filter socks in, or you can take that plate out and replace it with the one that's in there now, which is allows it's perforated around, for lack of a better word, cutouts in it so the water flows through it. You put the filter. So either it came with a sponge, but I've taken that sponge out and replaced it with filter floss, or the blue and white floss that looks like that, and that's what I have back there now. Now you say, well, you can, that only once it's dirty and full of detritus, then you have to replace it. Well, yeah, but it's cheap. I mean, I bought a 12-foot roll of that for about $15, and that's going to last over a month. So versus taking yeah, you got to take it, replace it every 2 to 3 days, but versus taking filter socks out every 2 or 3 days, pull them out, the whole mess of that, taking them out, you can turn them inside out, put them in the laundry, wash them. The wife doesn't like that, by the way, and in a washing machine, and some Clorox usually, and then dry them. It's a little, it's not, as most of you guys that have been in this hobby very long, you'll know that filter socks, dealing with filter socks, is not one of the most pleasant aspects. It's probably why it gets neglected and people leave their socks in too long. But so I just, every 3 days, I pull that piece of filter floss or filter pad out, replace it with a new piece, and go on. And my sump looks as clean as it did before with filter socks, and so so it's probably pulling out just as much detritus and so forth as the filter socks did, but it's a much easier to hassle than the hassle of filter socks. So that's why I did it. And where the section is where I put the filter pad. What I did was I just actually swapped out a little acrylic plate down there. You can either have that one plate in which holds the socks, or you can have a plate that holds a filter, or a filter of some type, a sponge filter or whatever you want to put in there. And in my case, I'm using filter pad, filter floss. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so I know, I have to change that out like every 2 or 3 days. Probably lasts about 3 days sometimes. And so it's basically the same thing I was doing with filter socks. You'd have to bring those out, get those out, take them out, and and deal with that mess, turn them inside out, and then washing them in bleach and drying them and so forth, and which didn't make my wife happy because I was using the washing machine, but it works just as you see. It works pretty much just as well as filter socks does. And the cost isn't really prohibitive for me, so it's just worth it not to have to deal with filter socks anymore. Another issue I had a few weeks back, about 3 or 4 weeks back, was I started noticing my nitrates were creeping up. For a long time I was running at 10, about 10, and then it started to jump up to 20, and then one time I checked it on the weekend and I was up to 40. So I had to start doing something about that. And the original idea was, okay, I had some no-pox, so I'll start doing carbon dosing again. I did that in the past with pretty good results on the no-pox, but the one thing I forgot was that with no-pox, you got to put up with some beige, yellowish looking stuff down in the sump that accumulates and sometimes gets into the skimmer, and it just can be a mess sometimes. And then the other thing is usually you'll get a cyano outbreak. Well, I got both of those, so I didn't like that. So I just went to dosing vodka, and in both cases, both of those things got my nitrates down pretty good, but I just didn't like dealing with the cyano, dealing with this mold stuff, and so I just decided that I get rid of that, and I bought one of the Brightwell export bricks. I've got that into something now. Now, the funny thing about that, a couple days after I put that in, I took my nitrate level, tested the nitrates, and I was down to 10 and then 5. But I don't think that's reflective of the brick that I put in there, the nitrate brick. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just some leftover results from the carbon dosing that I was trying with the no-pox and the vodka, but whatever. I've got the brick in there. We'll give that a while and see how that does. And the cyano stuff is going away already since I stopped carbon dosing. So we'll see if this does a trick. I hope it does, because otherwise I'm going to have to start using some chaeto or an algae, some type of algae or something to export the nitrates and phosphates out. The phosphates are pretty much remain pretty stable. When it gets up too high, I use a phosphate RX. I like that a lot. So I'll use that if it goes up. But pretty much keep it under control with the PhosGuard, which I'm using I buy a couple bags, or I put in some filter bags and put it in a reactor in the sump, and that keeps the phosphates down at a pretty manageable level at any rate. On the last video, I'm pretty sure I talked about my the new resin in the tank, which is coming by right about now, and that's the purple tang. And he's great. He's just been a great fish. You can see him right now. He's over there doing some work on one of the rocks and picks at the rocks just about all day long, just about as well as the foxface did, I think. And but the thing that he doesn't do that I like that the foxface did do was eat my zoas. And my zoa colonies are all starting to come back real nice now. I've even added some wrasses. I got a small colony of wrasse that's going, well, maybe we can call it a colony. But I got 6 heads of wrasses over there going. And so, anyway, no more dibbling on my zoas by the foxface. He's in a new home, hopefully doing fine. Last I heard he was. And I've got this nice purple tang who's been he's been good, getting along in the tank just fine, and we're just fine because he doesn't eat my corals. I finally started getting some growth on really the only SPS frag that I had in there, and that's up on the upper left there by that red or orange Monty. That's finally starting. Looks like it's going to start take off and give me some growth. And so it gives me a little bit of hope. I think I'll add a couple other SPS frags and see if I can get that going. Because otherwise, with the LPS and the other things, anything that's close to a SPS is the Montes, and obviously they're doing pretty fine. Everything else is doing pretty good. My leather over there up on the upper right, which I really like a lot, that orange polyp leather, that's doing great. And all the Euphilia, the frog spawn, the hammer corals, I've got a couple blastos in there. And my orange Recordias, you can see right up there by the Duncan, that's taken off really good and going like crazy now, as well as the green Recordias in the middle there. And I've got a couple other orange Recordias over here on the left too. So we're doing pretty good. Everything's going on pretty good. The fish are fine. They're LPS, softies, everything seems to be doing pretty good right now. And so I just started using a product that I saw that Mark on Mila's Reef is using, and a couple other guys seemed to like the results. It's Live Rock Enhance. It's basically a bacteria that kind of cleans up your rock, and if you've got a new tank, it's good to start curing new rock in a new tank with. So we'll see how that does. We'll see what that does for a rock, and I'll report back on it and tell you. Those are probably my favorite fish there in front now. That's the orangeback fairy wrasse. I think that's my favorite fish. And everybody's out now because I'm standing here talking, and they are pretty much, it's evening time, and I got home not too long ago, and they're ready for supper. So, I talked about these no more socks. That's a pretty big move. I've been really happy about that, like I said, and no issue with that. Going to a filter floss. So anyway, that's it, guys. That's the update for now. May 1st, 2019. Things going pretty good. We'll catch y'all later.